Hello, I'm Luke Darcy. Welcome to the 2013 wash-up for the Sydney Swans. Damien Barrett, no repeat of last year for the reigning premiers. What happened?
It's basically a series of serious injuries to good players and players then being forced to play underdone got them. They were gallant, they were there right to the second last weekend of the season, but where they finished was where they were at.
Let's talk about a season highlight time for the Sydney Swans, Damo. And for me, I love this moment. Gary Rowan returning from a serious broken leg. There was some fears about whether or not he'd actually run properly again, let alone play AFL football. And to see him back out there, and this was his first moment. He's got great pace. He hasn't lost any of that. And nice to hit a target with your first kick. Played well in the finals. The sub came on, albeit when the game was over, but they looked pretty good as a lead-up forward. It was a really good story all round.
The key, what you said there, seems to be that he didn't lose his pace, did he, Dus? No. And that season under his belt now, you'd think he's going to resume being the next big thing.
Yeah, it's all upside for this man, and this is the stuff that will endear him to John Longmire and his teammates, the ability to run and chase down, and great to see him back out there. Highlight for you, Damo.
Dus, I love the story of Dane Rampy, 23-year-old getting a game regularly. Played all but 2 games this year for the Swans in a team that came off a premiership winning year. Unheard of. Didn't play footy until he was 17, Dus. Was then forced to come to the VFL and play for Williamstown. Had a couple of looks at the Bulldogs but couldn't get a crack. Went back to the NEAFL last year basically in Sydney, and then ended up playing, as we said, a full season of footy for a team that made a prelim final and looked really good doing it and was pretty good throughout the finals.
I love these guys that once they get their opportunity, they're so hardened and resilient, they turn into really consistent, great players. Let's talk about season low-light time, Damo, for the Sydney Swans. And I thought Sam Reid and Lewis Jetta, 2 of their premiership stars last year, they started early with a bit of form trouble, and then injuries got hold of both of them. We didn't see Reid. Really worried about his quad, having done it now on a number of occasions. Lewis Jetta got back and played, but had missed too much footy to have any impact at all.
Yeah, I got those 2 names on this list we're going to show you too. That's my low light for the Swans, the medical dramas they had. All those players on screen, Dus, played and were key players in the premiership of last year, just could not get a crack at it this year. And as we know, a couple of them got back, but they just weren't able to play anywhere near their best. And in the end, that's what got the Swans in 2013. Yeah,
too many good players out too consistently for the Sydney Swans. Let's talk about handing out a Christmas bonus for the Sydney Swans this year. And I love the big Canadian, Mike Pike. Ended up being the number 2 contested mark player in the game behind Travis Cloke from Collingwood. And here's what he did on a regular basis against good opponents. Fantastic effort. He really has understood and learnt the game in a great way.
Did you see it coming, Dus? I know he had a blinder in the grand final last year, but until then he was just I think in many people's eyes, just a good player.
I just thought it was a gimmick. I thought it was Sydney getting someone across and just seeing if they could fill a gap for 12 months and then he'd be out of the game. But we underestimated. He must be an incredibly tough competitor and fanatical about improvement. A bit of a lucky torpedo goal on the run, but his hit-out work and his competitive edge, he's turned himself in. Pretty unlucky not to be in the All-Australian squad, to be honest with you.
I'm giving my Christmas bonus to Tommy Mitchell. The raps had been huge, Dus, before he played his game. And you've got people like Daniel Hannabury saying he's the next big thing. You know he's got some talent. No one does that to Guerra, does. Not in their first season of footy anyway. He ended up being another one who was on that medical room drama list, didn't he? Now requiring season-ending, as it was, ankle reconstruction from the semi-final weekend of footy. Look, just a really, really good debut season, and you just know that he's got 12 years of good footy ahead of him, don't you?
They've got another absolute cracker on their hands in Tom Mitchell. I mean, look at him competing in a final against Hodge, bowling Guerra over, just finds the footy, uses it beautifully, and they really missed him after he got injured, as you said. Chopping block time, Damo, is never easy, and having a look at the list management for the Sydney Swans, well, they've invested heavily in Kurt Tippett, paying him $1 million. They are a bit too top-heavy with their tools. They tried to trade Jesse White out last year to the Crows, and he wasn't up for it. Well, I think his trade value's gone up a little bit, and I think they might look at offloading Jesse White, and they'll probably get a good early second-round pick back for him.
For White, yeah. Tommy Walsh is my chopping block, Dus. Left the St Kilda club, but with high hopes, and the Swans had high hopes for him. But in a year where big guys weren't playing regularly for the Swans, I mean, Lewis Roberts-Thompson and, as you say, Sam Reid couldn't get a look in of any note, Dus. And his career obviously is at the crosswords after 2 years at the Swans.
Damo, we're going to look at where they're going to improve in 2014, and they've got an ageing list, City Sydney Swans. Adam Goods, 32 years of age. Ryan O'Keefe around the same age as well, 32. Reece Shaw, Teddy Richards is 30. Malcheski, 29. McVeigh, 28. So that ageing group, they can't rely on as heavily as they have done in the past. They really need that next generation of young stars. You know, it's Mitchell taking over and Hanbury taking over. Lewis Jetta is the one that's got to step up as well. So that's where they have to get their improvement from.
They do get their list pretty right, don't they? But you're right with those older guys. One of those guys you mentioned in that age bracket, Teddy Richards, needs some help down back to us. Look, Grundy's good, Richards is good, but they need some help, and I reckon they'll look at the trade period to get someone in that area.
Where have you got the Swans finishing in 2014, Damo?
I've got going down, so I know that's probably a little bit surprising. From a premiership last year to a prelim this year, I reckon probably to the semi-final period of the season next year, top 6. Yeah,
I'm with you, Damo. I think they will struggle to make the top 4 next year. I think it's a bit of a transition period of time as they get the next generations through. And Tippett's an interesting one for me. Showed good signs, but I think he's a ruckman forward, and what they do with a Mumford or a Pike, you know, a bit too top heavy. They can't play that many tools, and they'll have to work that out. Thank you, Damo. That has been the wash-up for the Sydney Swans in season 2013.